Hi, this is Max. I am back with another CSR2 video. This time it's Tempest 2 T4 Ashleigh challenge to win her ZL1 Camaro. I am using an Aston Martin Vanquish. If you recall, this is the same Vanquish I set up for Tempest 1. It has since then gained some more upgrades and is still missing some fusions, but in better shape than it was when I took it through Tempest 1. The new challenge in Tempest 2 is now that the game gives you PP restriction in addition to the standard sprint and quarter-mile challenges. The PP restriction is an important thing to learn how to tune for, because if you don't set up your car right, your ultimate performance could vary by quite a bit. So picking the right parts is very important to meet the PP level limitation, as well as getting the best possible EVO points out of the setting you have. At the minimum, you have to have stage 3 tire, stage 4 trans, and stage 2 nitrous. This way you can tune each of these items. Generally speaking, without as much power, you don't need a whole lot of grip in the beginning. So I'm raising the grip to actually make the tire pressure higher. With this setting done, I am ready to take on the first of the sprint challenges. I am skipping all the quarter-mile runs because it's not really that important. If you set it up right to beat the sprint, your car should also be set up pretty good to match all the quarter-mile requirements. If you kind of follow the settings I used, you notice that I am missing some fusions, but in my opinion, those specific parts I selected are the best for the purpose of meeting the particular PP limitation. If you find a better setting, feel free to share it with everyone. I'm sure other people would appreciate your sharing the knowledge. Again, with this car, the reason why I picked the Aston Martin Vanquish for this Tempest 2 T4 is because it is a fast accelerating car that can easily beat the sprint challenge. So now the limitation has moved up a bit. It's moved up to 630. So I'm adding parts to try to meet that 630 as close as possible while maximizing the potential for EVO. So the trick is you want to add a part that doesn't bump up your PP by a huge amount, but also shows an increase in EVO when you add it. That's important to try to get the best performance possible out of the car at a particular point level. So 631 is over the limit, has to lower back down to stage 4 trans. So now playing with something else to try to meet that. Let's lower some body points. See if we can put some turbo in. Turbo is obviously a high PP point increase. The question is, does it give us enough performance increase to justify all the PP points that it adds? You won't know until you start tuning, so you need to go to tuning to find out where the car's at. A good tune, good setup for tuning, usually when you tweak the tune, you see a nice increase in the EVO points just by adjusting transmission and probably grip. So the performance definitely increased a bit, but it's not substantial, really. Might be enough because it's only a 5-point PP jump so far from before. This might be enough to do it anyway. One of the quick things you can do is go back to the map and click on the challenge, Tempest challenge, and see if it shows up as easy. If it shows up as easy, you're probably good to go. If it shows up as challenging, you may have some problems. And if it shows up as hard, you can forget about it. Now, that's not always the case. In some situations, it may show up as extreme, but you'll still be able to beat it. So this is showing up as an easy sprint challenge, so it should be no problem at all. And there is none. Now, at certain PP levels, there'll be more than one sprint challenge. Right now, it's been one challenge only. A change in PP limitation, and challenge number 2 came. So this one was not very difficult, 4.9. The car can actually do better than the 4.0. That wasn't very well driven. So here we go. Second PP challenge at the same, second sprint challenge at the same PP level. This one, the opponent's probably going to go a little faster. But again, the other opponent was 1 second slower, so I doubt this is going to be any problems as well. And it is not. So the main challenge, the main difficult challenges in this series are the sprints. Other than that, if you're sprinting that quick, your quarter-mile time probably is sufficient to meet each of the matches. The only thing you need to keep in mind, of course, is near the very end, your car has to be completely fast enough, fully built, with all PP points added, to still beat Ashleigh for her car. That's the final run. In between, if you're struggling with the quarter-mile runs, or the half-mile runs, the half-mile runs, you're probably going to be struggling with the sprints as well. That means your car's probably missing fusions or isn't set up with the right selection of parts. So again, the turbo adds a lot of points very fast. So I'm moving around looking for other parts that I can add without bumping up huge amounts of PP points. And while keeping an eye on, see, that actually dropped the Evo a little bit. So let's try a different strategy. Let's add transmission, see what that does. Add a little tire. Too much grip, also reduce the points a bit. So that might be able to be tuned around. So the question is, do we change parts again or just go ahead and start tuning using what we have? I would suggest you try go back and forth and tune a few times to see if in fact you're making progress, getting faster. Sometimes the same PP points, different part settings, you can see as much as a 2/3 difference in your car's performance. That is easily reflected by the maximum amount of Evo points you can possibly achieve. So if the Evo points can go over 590, that's probably a better thing. 13.696, that should be a good setting. Remember before it was 13.9, so that is a reduction. Now here's the problem, it's showing it's challenging, not easy. So that's going to be tricky. Might be worth it to go back and see if we can get a little better tune or better part selection that'll give us a faster setting. So again, it goes back to replacing the specific parts with something different. Adding more power, perhaps dropping grip a little bit. Let's get rid of body. A little bit less trends, and that's 638, but the PP point actually went, the Evo point went up. So you tweak it a little bit with something else and see if we can get. Now remember, before the maximum Evo was 580. So with these parts, unless I can get over 580, it wouldn't really be worth it to make the changes. So again, once the part selection is basically set, it's back to tuning again. Trying to figure out if we can tweak little things like the final drive ratio to potentially get over the Evo points. All right, 589, that's a little bit better. 590, 591, even better. 13.659. It's only a little bit quicker on paper, but every little bit counts. So in case you can't hit dyno, that little extra might be exactly what you need to make those runs that you need to do in the challenge itself. Okay, 595 is definitely better. So go with this setting. So as you can see, tweaking some of the parts will make a difference. Whether it is the same PP or not, the selection of parts could make a difference. Still showing it's challenging. That's not a good sign. So this is going to be a tougher set of runs. It looks like about 8-9 races that I'll have to make through. But I think this is probably the best setting I can possibly do. Now here, I'm giving you a in-screen of what the opponent's running on the half mile. A 9/10 difference is quite a bit. So that gives me comfort that this may be not as hard as you would think. Again, a easy 6/10. So there's plenty of margin. Now, this sprint is showing as hard. Now, usually when it's hard, it could be very hard or just a little bit hard. Let's see how bad it is. Not my best drive, but was able to beat the opponent to the sprint. And the times will tell us just how close it was. 3/10, that's still a decent margin. I'm not too worried yet. So here's the second sprint at the same PP. Now it's extreme. Now extreme could be bad. Let's see how extreme this gets. So we're looking at an extreme race, okay? That kind of makes you nervous. It's extreme. So the opponents must be really, really good. Now, I've seen in the past in some trials and others where if you get extreme, you basically cannot beat it. Or if you get extreme, it still is easy. So let's see how extreme this is. Okay, I short shifted a little bit there. It looks like I was losing that one, but somehow I won. So it must have been a close race, although I did make it to 100 a little bit quicker, I'm sure. That was tight, about 1/10. So that was pretty close. I don't think I would have done much better on that run with the sprint. If you could not hit that sprint time, I guess it would be back to tuning. Now that we beat that sprint at 640, you once again get a new jump in PP limitation. So at this point, though, things are going to start getting easier because you're now getting closer towards maximum amount of PP points. Not quite there yet. Okay, the max is something like 680. So right now, the game allows you to go up to about 650, which is a nice jump. Every little bit counts. So that allows us to put some more power parts in and hopefully get another 3/10 off of the time. So again, everything you do is tweaking for that maximum performance based on Evo at that particular PP point. So if you find a different part adds more Evo, it's probably better that you install that part instead of keeping the part that you had installed before. A lot of this game's tuning is a combination of how much grip do you need versus the final drive ratio. So as long as the Evo points are high, even if you don't quite hit the cap point on the PP point, you're a point or two off, that shouldn't hurt you. If the tuning allows you to add even more Evo points, then you're probably in good shape. So as you get more power, you usually lower the final drive because your top speed increases. So you want to always lower the final drive a little bit, get a feel for your top speed cap, which at this point should be around 195. Then you play with the grip to see if little more or little less tire might be more helpful. And finally, go back and tweak the nitrous if you feel the nitrous needs to be adjusted. At least that's generally the pattern I go for. I go trans, tire, tire, trans, kind of play with those two until I hit a nice spot. See, that one's an easy challenge, so it should be no problem for this sprint. Trans, tire, and then nitrous. Nitrous is one of those things that it doesn't need to be tweaked a whole lot. Usually once you set it at a particular point, unless there's drastic change in the car's settings, otherwise, nitrous is probably going to stay where it is. That was an easy sprint. Because of all the extra power, the car is definitely running much quicker in the sprint. And thus having no problem. Yeah, 2.9 now, down from 3.5 Opponent only running a 4-second. So a full second quicker than the opponent means you have a margin, a large margin to make mistakes and still win. And that leads us to the final cap level, where you can now tune your car to the maximum parts that you have available. I recommend you, particularly for T4. T4 cars are a little bit trickier to set up than most. So particularly for T4, I would recommend you wait till your car has full stage 6 and at least 90% of its fusions before you take on the challenges. As you can see, even with this setting earlier, you're still going to struggle. So when you have PP limitation where you cannot use the stage 6 as much, you want to have the stage 6s on the parts that you really want to install. So you have a good selection to pick from. So if you really could have used that tire, but you only have stage 5, it'll hurt you. So having all the stage 6 definitely helps. But that being said, fusions. This game is all about fusions. Your car is missing too many fusions. Even if you have all the stage 6s, it will not cut it. So when it comes to making sure the car is ready, you both need to focus on the stage 6 as well as having as many fusions as you could possibly get onto the car. With the car maxed out at this point, the sprint should be, again, very easy. This car is a Sprinter 2.7. I forgot to record the run itself, but it's not important. The point is that you have a nice fast run and you have a nice margin to beat the opponent's time. And that kind of leads you to the end. A bunch of half-mile runs, some story runs, and you're now ready to take on Ashleigh for her car. As long as your car can beat a 12.9 run, I believe it's a 12.9 or 12.8. She might run 13. I forgot what exactly she runs. But I know that a 12.8 or better, you're guaranteed to not have an issue. This Aston Martin, with the settings I have now, can run 12.6s. So this will be an easy challenge to take her car down. So there should be no stress. Even if you make some mistake launching, you should have enough margin of time there so a little bit of error isn't going to cost you the chance to win her car. Oh, actually I got a perfect launch. That wasn't bad. So this looks like a smooth and easy run. Again, you're running 12.6 something. You're going to have quite a bit of length of advantage by the end of the track. And what did she actually run? 13.1. I think they slowed her down because I recall it used to be 13.0 or 12.9. But anyway, so even if you run 12.9, you would have definitely won that car. The point of these Tempest challenges is to kind of get a progression in the storyline. It used to pay nice rewards such as crew points, but they since changed it now to keys and stuff. So you still gain a bunch of money. This time, a lot more keys than Tempest 1, and well worth it. So enjoy the reward. You won a new boss car, Ashleigh's Z01 Camaro. It's a nice car, 5 purple stars. However, it is really not that useful in the grand scheme of things. It's nice to have in the garage though. I mean, any boss car is still good to have. You show it off. Anyway, that concludes the T4 Tempest 2 video. I hope you found the video helpful. You can certainly pause and look at all the different tunes I used and settings so that you can duplicate it if you're using an Aston Martin. If you liked the video, please leave a like, leave comments if you have questions, and subscribe to the channel if you want to get notification of future videos like this. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.